Hi guys, so my name is Yin Yang, and I'm basically here to have a mature conversation today regarding the topic of domestic violence. So this video will mainly be for people that are experiencing domestic violence, have experienced it, know someone, and I mean, come on, everybody knows someone that's experienced it, or anybody that's basically still going through some of the mental health aspects of it. Anyone that doesn't know, people that have experienced domestic violence are really prone to various mental health issues, and PTSD is obviously just one of the main ones. The category of PTSD, it kind of just, I'd say it's the best way to categorize it. There's so much things that falls under it. This video is not about response, it's literally about getting the message across what I feel like God placed on my heart. Also, I've never done a YouTube video before. This is just not my thing, like, I'm just scared of all these sort of things, but like I said, God placed this particular message on my heart, and also I've got a bit of a cold, so please, I'm not straining my voice, and yeah, just it sounds a bit croaky, so just deal with it. There will be like a large portion of people who do just click this video to be nosy, and to be honest, that's actually okay with me, because hopefully they can take something valuable from this video, whether it's for their own situation or for someone else's or for any future situations that they come across. Most of my messages is kind of transferable to alternative situations as well. I just want to make a disclaimer before I kind of get into the video, that there's literally like no animosity between me and this person, like literally whatsoever. Like in the same way that I've changed a lot since then, so has this person, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I kind of just wanted to get that out there, and hopefully people don't really judge too much, because an intelligent person knows that like one situation can't define a whole person. I will be speaking on this topic from a particular perspective today, obviously that being my perspective. So obviously I will share some light on like my experience, which basically it wasn't like the occasional slap or manhandling or pushing and shoving and stuff. Like I'm talking like multiple punches to the face and the body, like, you know, like bloodshot eyes, black eyes, whiplash from like strangulation and choking, having furniture thrown at me, like being attacked with an axe, having knives pressed to my neck, being stamped out, like all like quite, you know, the serious things that most domestic violence victims go through. But that's all I'm going to say on that bit for now. Of course, and obviously now that that bit's done, the video is kind of going to be split up into different categories. So the first bit is going to kind of be like some of the realizations that I had to go through in realizing only I was going to get myself out of this situation, do you know what I mean? So that's going to be that section. Then we're going to have like a section where it's kind of just covering the mental health aspect, and then thirdly we're going to have just my perspective on maybe why this situation may be happening to you or someone that you know, and then we're going to basically close with me kind of just providing a few sources of help basically, and you know, anybody that has any sort of sources or, you know, avenues of help for anybody, because people are likely to, you know, probably message me after this. So if anyone does need help, I don't personally have all the answers, do you know what I mean? But if you have one answer and you send that to me, it might go a long way with someone. So yeah, until they leave in. So I would ask God all the time for signs, like, Lord, give me a sign if I need to leave, give me a sign if this isn't going to work out. And trust me, if you ask God that question, he will reveal to you, time to go. And I'd be asking that question, but then when I was getting the response, like, I mentally and emotionally, I wasn't ready. Like, I did not have it in me to leave. Like, anybody, all of my friends at the time, they was like I just didn't have it in me at all. And so then I would like pray things like, oh Lord, make it easy for me, or give me the strength, like, at least. And I remember being in Morocco at one point, and at this time the person was on the run, and as much as I never wished anything bad or nothing like that, I remember like it was actually the last thing I would have wanted for him to go to jail, to be honest. But I do remember the thought crossing my mind, and I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like, how easy would it be if this person just went back to jail right now? Like, that would just make my life so much easier. Like, as in, I wouldn't have to leave, they would be going change kind of the prayer to Lord, give me the strength to leave, and yeah, so rather than make it easy, give me the strength. And I remember one night just being at work. I remember I was just doing my work. I wasn't even thinking about the situation, and God literally just said to me, you have free will, like you have free will and you're going to use it. And I remember thinking, wow, like that was just not what I wanted to hear. But basically God was just like to me, child, you're comparing up today. So when I kind of compared the revelation of God telling me I've got free will, the way I saw it was as controversial as when Kanye said slavery is a choice. Like, that's how I saw it. And the reason why is because I was thinking, well, how is this a choice? Like, do you know what I'm going through? And you're telling me you've got free will, remove yourself from the situation. I was thinking, like, do you know what I'm going through? I was kind of thinking, like, how would I escape from this situation? This person lives with me, and it just wasn't a situation of just easily leaving. Like, I'm telling you, I'm not even gonna go into it, but it wasn't that in it. Like, it wasn't that. And on top of that, I was thinking, yeah, I'm trying to do the things that I can do to try and prevent the situation from escalating. How could this possibly be a choice? But I'm gonna explain to you how it is a choice. If you come from the same sort of like background or culture as me, you will understand when I say things like, oh, police wasn't an option. And I don't even want to say that to condone it, but I'm just saying, like, if you either understand or you don't in it. So at that point now, I'm thinking, wow, like, it's literally me versus him. And when I actually realised that it was just me versus him, like, I kind of mentally checked into quite a dangerous place. And mentally, I was preparing myself. And you know what? I might even tell that story another time. But mentally, I would say I checked into what is actually a very dangerous place. I remember I kept singing this song, and it was. Them trick me and kill me. No way, you must be a glamour. Life are the greatest thing that you know the flow. And basically, that's how I felt. I was feeling like, you must be mad. Like, I never forget, like, my 20th birthday, I thought that was gonna be like my last birthday. Like, honestly, like, I thought that was gonna be my last birthday. Then I got to my 21st birthday, and I was like, and the 21st hit me more, cause I was like, wow, like, I really made it to 21. And I just remember really celebrating, and like, when I was like celebrating my birthday, I was really experiencing that, like, blessed feeling of like, I'm still here because I didn't think I was gonna be. You can literally stay in your head or say a prayer and be like, God, lend me a hand and guide me out of this situation. And that's the best way I would say. That's the best thing I will say that you can do, because religious or not, one thing you have to know is you have to mentally and spiritually check out of that situation before your body's gonna follow. And I'm gonna say that was one of the biggest things that genuinely, not even just saved my life, but literally saved me from so much harm. Now, this is what you have to realise: when you invite God into a situation, He will rebuke that situation for you. And I can genuinely say that the person that I was in a situation with had experienced so much more harm than me, which doesn't make sense because I didn't do them nothing. Do you know what I mean? But there will be just multiple times that this person would get injured during a situation with me. I injured them. How have you got injured? And people are evidence, so I'm just gonna give the evidence. So situations would be happening between me and this person, and they would constantly cause quite serious injuries to themselves. And I would always be like we'd be going to the hospital for them multiple times. I'm talking dislocated hands, dislocated fingers, what's it called, having to have operations on your hand because of okay, cool, let's say you punch through a mirror and the veins and tendons in your hand are all torn. I'm talking multiple, like, just different situations. And like, I remember around the time that like, I was stamped out, and next minute they was on crutches. And it's just crazy how God works. Not to say God did this to them, but you have to kind of realise that when you invite God into your atmosphere, there's many things that could have happened to you. So I'm not saying that nothing will happen to you. Things might happen to you, things happen to me, but whereas a lot of the time it wasn't going to hospital for me, it was like it was going to hospital for him, and like God into the atmosphere. Spiritually, he will work on your behalf, and out of everything I have to say in this video, I think that is one of the biggest things I would stress, and just remember it like serious. Just don't forget, you can protect yourself through use of energy and prayer, and I will include I might even just put them around here somewhere. So yeah, and I'm gonna just insert them, to be honest. But just maybe 3 prayers that basically can protect you, because words are powerful, and whether or not you're Christian, or you could be Muslim, and you might even be atheist. Okay, what's the harm in saying words? Because you can try it. Just try it. What's the harm? Do you know what I mean? Words are powerful, regardless. Moving on to like the mental health aspect and helping yourself out mentally, I've got like 4 pieces of advice that I'm gonna give today. Cool. So the first one is gonna be therapy. Now, therapists are individuals, so now let's remember that therapists are individuals. So just because someone's a therapist doesn't mean that individual can help you, but that doesn't mean that therapy doesn't work. I was real blessed that when I went to therapy, the lady that I was provided with, I connected with her instantly. Like, I would leave therapy feeling on top of the world. So as someone that's experienced that feeling to the point where I even feel emotional when I think about the woman, because I just think like you was literally a blessing to me. Like she probably doesn't even know it literally. So it's just a case of, if you go to therapy and you find you're uncomfortable, the person that you're speaking to is condescending, or they just don't understand you, or they don't understand the way you think, that's fine. Move on to the next one, because there will always be someone who does understand. So until you find that, just keep moving on and find someone that you can relate to. And I'd really, really stress that. My second piece of advice on mental health is be easy on yourself, but be hard on yourself. Now, and I think it's vital to find the correct balance for yourself. Me personally, sometimes I would be easy on myself, and that would be, for example, I'd take 2-3 days off uni, and I'd be like, mentally, I need to recover. I need to recover from what I've gone through, and I would take 2-3 days off, and I'd be like to my friends, oh please, like send me the uni work, and I'll take 2-3 days off. And when you do that, don't let yourself feel guilty, but just know that you always gotta come back in it. And then there's times where I'd be hard on myself, and I think one of the situations that, and actually it was in therapy that I realised that this was not normal. And when okay, cool. The situation happened, and there was a day where there was about 8-9 hours worth of. On that day, I actually had whiplash because obviously, other than other things that was going on, one of the main things that happened that day is when I was choked and strangled, my neck popped to the point where at the time I wasn't on the floor, my feet wasn't touching the floor, and I remember thinking, oh my god, I'm going to be paralysed. And I never forget that, because I never forget that instant thought of not knowing, like. And yeah, long story short, that day anyway happened, and I remember that night I had a night shift, a 10-hour night shift, and I remember thinking, my body is in pain. I'm talking like all over, not just from the neck, like just in general, it was just in pain. And I was like, you're going to work today? And I went to work and I did that shift, and I remember struggling like through that night. I remember my whole body's in pain. I've gone through hours of crap, like my body was in pain, and I couldn't move my neck. I remember being so stiff, and even now, if you know me, you know I'm always clicking my neck. And it's funny because I've never really told anyone that, like, I've not really told people that. I think probably 1 or 2 people know that, but yeah, like, or now I still have that problem from that night. It wasn't even like from a series of events, it was just that one night. And yeah, so just choose different times to be easy on yourself and different times to be hard on yourself, but just make sure you find the correct balance. Pitying yourself all the time and being easy on yourself isn't going to help. And neither is being hard on yourself all the time gonna help. You have to find balance. Now, another thing that I would stress, and I know not everybody has the luxury of having family and friends there, and to be honest, some people do, but during like when you're experiencing domestic violence, you do push people away. So you might be one of them people, or you might just be one of them people that doesn't have anyone, and that's a lot of people in this world, unfortunately. But okay, for example, for me, one thing that had not even a drastic effect, but one thing that was literally probably I'd say life-saving even for me was my family. And it's quite deep, it's a bit deep to be honest, but like I always think to myself, if my nan hadn't died a few years before I experienced my situation, I would have been dead. And the reason I say that is because mentally I was willing to check out, like I was ready to take my life. And at that point, the only thing that literally stopped that from happening was I'd go to do it, and then I would think to myself, how are my family mentally gonna get through this? Because we'd already experienced like my nan ended up passing away, and that really as a family put us through mentally. Like probably everyone in my family experienced depression, and I'm talking about my immediate family, like all my siblings and my mom. That put us all through a depression for a while because it was very close to my nan, do you know what I mean? So when she died, I thought, if I kill myself, someone else will kill themselves, because mentally we can't cope. They can't cope with that. Two people that close to them. So literally the reason I didn't is because I knew if I committed suicide, I would have someone in my immediate family's blood on my hands too, because I knew they couldn't cope with that mentally. On top of that, I didn't really tell a lot of my friends or anyone really what I was really going through. I think it took me months, or I think it was even up to a year, to tell even my best friend. And at the time, that best friend was even like, what's going on? But yeah, like once I did tell that person, the level of support that I had was crazy, like to the point where I will even now probably even say like that person was one of the biggest blessings during that time for me, because the support. And this is another thing for anybody that is trying to support someone throughout that experience. Like obviously you want to help someone and you know that they should leave, but trust me, you just being too harsh on someone, or even just going in too much, that's the worst thing that you can do. Like the best thing that you can do is find the correct balance of telling someone the truth, telling someone when they're being irrational, but really giving them that love and support that makes them know you've got them. And one thing I can say is I was so blessed to have that, like literally. So another thing that can really have a drastic effect is having faith. Faith isn't hope. Hope is like there's an element of doubt. If you've got faith on a situation, 9 times out of 10 you've already got through the situation. It's just a matter of time. I would like to talk about faith a lot more, to be honest. People hate me for my faith because I'm faith this, faith that, but I think it's a bit more relevant in a later bit of the video, so I'm not going to really go into it too much. But what I will say is one of the best there's many I've seen, but one of the best series on YouTube that you can watch regarding faith is actually Transformation Church. Now I don't want to be able to just advise Christians, but sometimes if you have a certain mindset and you're not ignorant, you can watch something and you can just take what's relevant to you. So I would advise watching that series, and I will put it maybe here, and I'm going to put it in the bio as well, because that's life-changing. It's called Crazy Faith by Transformation Church. Just in general, as humans, when we experience something that probably isn't nice, one of the questions we always ask ourselves is, why me? And obviously when it comes to domestic abuse, one question you're always going to ask is, why is this happening to me? Why is this person doing this to me? Just why me? There's certain situations you can predict it in, and there's others that you can't predict it in, and it's like, how did that happen to that girl? Like, she was never about that, or she was never like that. Yeah, so even like outsiders may think, how did that happen to you? Like, how did you allow that to happen? Or why did that happen to you, just in general? And it's gonna get a bit deep now, yeah. But basically my brother just says to me, he was like, oh, he's like, you know you're under a spiritual attack. And I was just like, I didn't really say anything, to be honest. I don't think I responded because I think I felt a bit weird that he sensed my energy, but I don't think I'd at that point heard the word spiritual attack. Maybe I had, but I hadn't really paid attention to it. For those who don't know what spiritual attack is, it's basically when things in the spiritual world are attacking you, maybe physically, and that can actually be through like illnesses, or it could be through, like, I know in like the black community, I've been told by a few different people like they've bled for like a year, or for example it could be like a terminal illness, it could be like cancer, or it could even be, and so obviously you've got the physical side of it, and then on top of that you've got the psychological side of it. So for example, it doesn't have to just be domestic violence, it can be finances, like let's say bills on top. Like, I know that sounds very normal for that to be a spiritual attack, but it can, if something's attacking at your mental to a certain degree, like let's say if you have a lot of debts, or it could even just be, you know, having people that aren't emotionally intelligent around you, that and maybe a lot of people have that within a family life, with people that just say comments to them and whatever. So it can be a range of situations, but a spiritual attack is something that it can be attacking you physically or psychologically. Now, every individual in this world has characteristics that you define them as. You describe a celeb, you describe them by their characteristics. You describe me, you describe me by my characteristics. Now, same way with God and the devil, they've both got their characteristics in it. Now, for those that don't know, there's like 3 main characteristics of the devil, and one of them is death, the second one is destruction, and the other one is deception. I want to kind of explain how domestic violence creates the perfect scenario for a spiritual attack. Obviously, death isn't always a part of domestic violence, or like for example I'm here, it's not part of my story. However, it could have been, and there's been potential where it has been. So for example, the suicide, I mentioned that I felt suicidal. It's well known that a lot of the time during domestic violence incidents, people end up killing their partners, whether it's on purpose or on accident. So we got death, and then also just the death of your old self, because you will never treat, like I said, PTSD is associated with domestic violence. You're never going to forget what happened to you. Like, you're not going to forget that. So even the death of your old self and the new you, cool. So that's the death element. Now, the deception element, I think, is mainly associated with the psychological aspect of domestic violence. So for example, when you're gonna get mental health, I'm telling you the fact, you will. Even if someone doesn't seem like they have, or even if they probably don't straight away, at some point you will. And when that happens, for example, you'll have things like anxiety, paranoia, or even just being scared. Like, I used to flinch a lot, and also I really had bad social anxiety. I already had that, to be honest, let me be fair. I already had social anxiety. I had that from when I was about 15, 16, but obviously this didn't help, so it just gave me general anxiety. And once again, as with the destruction element, you can say, for example, it could be your body, obviously the destruction of your body. It could be your home. Let's be real, like in most of them situations, things around you get damaged. It could be the destruction of relationships that you have with other people. It could be the destruction of the relation that you have with that person. But regardless, there's no denial that death, destruction, and deception doesn't have a role in domestic violence. It's clear, like it does. Now, I have this saying, and I live by it, to be honest. And it's basically like, if you're living your life the correct way, blessings that touch you should always automatically touch other people. For example, if a person who has knowledge shares their knowledge, you're blessing someone else with that knowledge. Someone who has strength, let's think of, like, let's say just a normal person has more strength than like maybe an elderly person. If you can help an elderly person out with something, you're blessing them with your strength. Financially, like, come on, it's quite well known. People that can help other people financially, you're blessing someone with what's your blessing. Personally, I take a lot of pride in ensuring that I have a positive effect on people's lives. Like, and I'm not talking just general, I'm talking like people around me. I make it a thing that I want to positively affect their life. And I feel like most people that are close to me or have been close to me can agree that, and will know, like, yeah, like she does what she can do to positively affect those around her. That's obviously not the situation with everyone, but just in general, you have to realize that in life there's actually a chain effect to everything. If something happens to you, in some way, shape or form, it's going to affect someone. Like, you know, when you think of movies like Final Destination, like everyone gets a good bit creeped out by that movie, because when you deep it, like, you realize everything actually has a chain effect. A blessing that you receive is not just for you. Like, to be honest, I've never really been a person that's like a big spender on myself, but I have a thing where it's like I always want to have like the means to be able to help others, especially financially. Like, I'm big on that, but not just financially. There's many other ways you can help people, but when I'm blessed with something, 9 times out of 10 someone else is going to receive some sort of blessing from what I've received. So if I'm blessed financially, people around me in some way, shape or form are going to be blessed. If I'm blessed with like an opportunity, I'm going to like bring people through with that. I think it's really important to see life that way, because sometimes we can be so self-absorbed and just think, oh yeah, like I got this, like I wanted this, I got it. There's going to be certain things that can come from you, and you really have to just be able to kind of see your influence in the grand aspect of things. That's what I personally think is one of the biggest reasons that answers the why you question. Now, if you look at who you're around, and even just yourself and your own purpose, and really just consider this whole spiritual attack thing, and just think about, by me not fulfilling my purpose or me experiencing this, what is this blocking? Because the devil never really wants anything good to happen. So what is this blocking? Whose blessings is this blocking? Not just mine. Because, for example, let's say you become distant from friends or family, or just even just one individual, that could be blocking their help in a situation. And this is something that I really considered, because it's a bit personal, yeah, but I'm just going to say it because obviously it's on my heart, so I'm just going to say it now. With the person that I was with, personally, this is my personal opinion, I can see how I could have really, like, the good influence that I would have had in that person's life long term. Now, it was a long term situation, was like, I was like 13 till my 20s, so clearly it was long term. But what I'm trying to say is, long term, the effect that I would have had on that individual would have been positive. So I would be an actual idiot not to kind of prove the situation as well, as that maybe the spiritual attack wasn't just for me, my life, and just, you know, my other people. I also have to consider that, and maybe if you're experiencing, also consider that maybe it's also the devil trying to affect that person. Because, for example, at some point you're most likely to leave, and when you leave, if you are a good person and do have a good influence on that person, you're taking that with you. Do you know what I mean? And that can have a detrimental effect, or just prevent greatness in their life. So I think it's really, really, really interesting if you actually explore that aspect of if you actually sit down and mentally explore. You could even do a mind map, or just think about it, just consider it. Who else could this spiritual attack be affecting? So consider yourself, just yourself. How is this spiritual attack affecting me now, long term? Then also consider, like, the people around you, how is it affecting them? And consider the person that be doing it. I wasn't really sure whether or not I should say this in this video, because it's a bit deep, but I'm just gonna say it. You know, maybe I might talk about it another time or whatever. This is not something I've just always known. It's just something I thought recently. I don't even like saying this because it sounds very judgy, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. That's not what it is. But I just want to say, as what it is without filtering it too much. Quite conscious lately of maybe the ways I may have been sinning in the past, or not even in the past, now even as well, like, but I've been quite conscious of that. And when I've been thinking about that, I've been thinking about even just road life and people that are on the roads. And one thing we don't realise when we're in them sort of lifestyles is that how can I explain? No matter what you're kind of tolerant to, or not even tolerant to, whatever your beliefs are, there's always morally right from wrong. And I know that we know that, and a lot of the time we kind of just, you know, put it under a rug and just be like, oh, but that's my people's, or but this happened before that and that's why this happened, or whatever. It gives me anxiety talking about it. I think it's because it's actually so deep. I might actually really talk about this because of, I don't know, road life, the things that happen on the roads, they invite certain things into your life, whether you want to accept it or not. I was a person that would never be accepting that mentally during the time, but when I actually deep it now, I'm thinking the things that he was engaging in, things that he was condoning, I'm not being judgy, I've been there myself, I understand how it goes. It's not a thing of, oh, like, oh, you've moved on in life and now you're acting a certain way. It's not that. I'm just going to say the facts of the situation. When you're engaging in certain things on the road, you are being demonic, and I know it's quite glorified now to be demonic, but if you're going to behave demonic, and that can be as simple as liars, fraud is deception, fraud. It could be drugs, like that's actually physically harming people, or even just like stabbing, shootings, murder, whatever. Like all of them things, you have to realise, as much as I don't want it to sound judgy, like it is demonic behaviour, and when you're behaving demonic, you're inviting demonic things into. It's actually been really strange because obviously, like I said, this is like my first YouTube video, and I've actually really enjoyed doing it. And I just want to say as well, most people that know me will not associate me with this topic whatsoever, and that is because I've never really spoke to people about it. I've never really put myself in this category. People can talk about this category all day long, and I'll just sit there and observe what other people have got to say. I will, or even if I do get involved, I never include myself personally. I'll just be like, oh yeah, because I know this person, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? So I hope that this doesn't really define me, because it doesn't define me. Do you know what I mean? It's just a situation. Like, how many situations do we go through within our life? But yeah, like I hope it doesn't define me. Like there's a lot more I have to say. I'm quite an opinionated person, and not just on this topic. So, but the reason I decided to do a video on this topic first was this was something that God kept speaking to me about. Like you might have seen in earlier in the video, I might have included a bit of a clip on the snap when I said, oh, God was speaking to me on my way to work. You'll see that it's been on my mind. Like I said, I was having a lot of sleepless nights. I've been feeling a certain type of way. It's now 5:45 in the morning. I'm on my way to work, but like I don't know, like I was having trouble sleeping, like all last night. Like I was waking up like literally every 20-30 minutes, and I was just thinking, like this is just impossible. But it's been happening like a few nights in a row. I don't know why, but yeah. Okay, so just some like end of video advice. So the first one is going to be seek God. The second one is going to be get therapy. The third one is going to be stay in contact with people, friends, family, and even if you don't have them around, try and connect with people. That will really help. If you go to hospital for any injuries, and like me maybe don't tell the police or anything like that, just be sure to have some sort of record of the situation. You don't have to give the person's name, you don't even have to say, oh, my partner, but I would just make it obvious in some ways. If you've made it to this point of the video, like literally genuinely thank you, because it's probably going to be a long video of me just talking. I actually appreciate it. I'm going to finish off with just providing a few of the sources that I feel that may help people. They may not. Obviously there's going to be some people that message me after this, so if you're a person that maybe knows more sources, or even just can provide one, that may help someone, because obviously everyone's an individual, everybody's helped differently. I'm just gonna share how I would basically advise someone to help themselves. And also in the bio, I am gonna turn the comments off for this video because it makes me feel really uncomfortable thinking of people commenting on this video. I don't know what it is, it just makes me feel really uncomfortable, so I'm gonna do that. But I'm not gonna kind of completely censor out what anyone has to say. So you can contact me on my old Snapchat. I'm gonna say my old Snapchat is because it's not my current. I don't be logged into this Snapchat every day, and that's gonna be liquor_towel. If you've had me on Snap for years, you've probably already got that Snap. And my Insta is yin_yang_kiss. I prefer any like feedback to be on the Snapchat, to be honest, just because I just want to keep my Insta a bit clean. But yeah, well, it is what it is, isn't it? Please, if you message me, don't be expecting responses quick. Anybody who knows me, and this is a fact, anybody who knows me knows that I could be uploading all the time, every day, and I still might take 2 weeks to open a chat. And that's just how I am. Like, that's just how I am. I'm not gonna change. That's just how I am. I don't always want to talk to people. I don't always want to engage. I could be laughing in my story in a good mood, but that doesn't mean I necessarily want to talk to people. And that's just how it is. Please don't be offended by that though. Like I said, that's just how I am. There's nothing personal with that. So don't let that put you off actually messaging or responding anything that you want to say. Or yeah, just don't be offended.